So many students ask me, how can I stop my mind? My students say it keeps me up all night, it's spinning, it's telling the same stories over and over again. And indeed, that's why the Buddhists call it the monkey mind, because it's running here and there and jumping from branch to branch. And often it's just a bunch of noise, and it's future and past stuff, and it's worries and anxieties, and it does nothing but create a kind of chronic, enduring stress state. And that's why we meditate. That's why we go looking for a practice that will bring us peace of mind, and even better, peace of heart. And many wisdom traditions would insist that the only way to pacify the mind and the noise that it generates is by wholehearted reflection. That we shouldn't underestimate the power of watching, putting ourselves in the position of witness, that in itself would bring a kind of peace by just giving it our attention, by watching, not pushing it, and also not engaging it, just watching. And I'm not here to dismiss that. I'm just here to ask, like philosophers do, we're kind of pains that way. Is it necessary and sufficient? I think it's necessary. I think it's a necessary part of the healing process, whereby we bring our mind to a better place. But I don't think it's sufficient. I don't think it's enough, in other words. I think, yes, the watching is a part of it, but it doesn't bring us to a place where we can, as Yogi Bhajan says, switch gears. We've got to be able to switch gears when those negative thought patterns, and again, I'll use the Buddhist terminology, they're called kleshas, the negative thought patterns, when it all starts. Because the problem is that it's habitual. And as anybody knows who's tried to change any habit, it's difficult to stop a habit. It's like trying to stop a train that's going 60 miles per hour, especially when that train has momentum. Kleshas have a hold on us. They sabotage our free will. So even though there's a part of us that might want to stop the train, once those habits have momentum, it's almost impossible to stop the train and to bring that train onto a different track. How do we switch gears? Or in other words, how do we bring the train onto a different track? Especially when, as I just said a minute ago, a part of us might want to bring the train to a different track, but there's a part of us that likes the kleshas. It's a kind of pleasure in the misery. We're used to it. You know, there's a part of us that knows we shouldn't eat the chocolate cake, but I want to, and I kind of like it, and I like it for a little while, and I know I won't like it tomorrow. But we're funny creatures. We're paradoxical creatures, we humans. And there's a part of us that takes a kind of comfort in the pain and the suffering that we bring about ourselves. In this case, the suffering that the ruminating mind brings. So we have two problems. The momentum of the train, or the bad habit, the mental ruminations. That's the first problem, is the momentum that it generates. The second problem is we kind of like it. So there's a part of us that wants to stop it, and we know it's not good for us, and it doesn't serve us, and it doesn't bring us overall peace and joy. But there's a part of us that's just sucked into the habit and the comforts, like, you know, sucking a thumb or something, and we kind of can't stop. So the question is, given these two problems, we like it and it has momentum, is watching enough? Is wholehearted attention enough? I don't think so. I don't think it's enough to switch gears. And I would like to go to the Esther-Hicks teachings for a moment. She says, reach for the better feeling thought. I think she's right. Because reaching for the better feeling thought is a way that we can switch gears. And she's also quite right when she says we've got to catch it early on before the thing gets momentum, like that train going 60 miles per hour down the track. That happened to me once when I hadn't put my car in park and it started rolling down the driveway. I reached in, quickly switched the gears and stopped the thing, but that's because I caught it quickly. If it had gained momentum, it would have rolled right across the street and hit another car. But I was able to jump in quick and was really no worse for wear. I had a bruise on my knee, but no big deal. Here's another example, hopefully a kind of fun analogy. I love to walk my own dog. He's little, but I also walk the dogs next door sometimes, and they're two big Labradors. And like most dogs, they love to chase squirrels. Well, I'm in trouble if they see a squirrel. Probably I'm going down. So I'm constantly scanning the horizon for squirrels. That's the watchful part. That's the wholehearted attention. Compare that to watching our thoughts and simply become aware of what's going on so as to curtail it. But that alone is not enough. It doesn't make the squirrels go away, and it won't stop the dogs from chasing after squirrels if they see the squirrels at the same time I do. So I've got to see them first. So watching is certainly necessary, but I'm arguing not sufficient. I've got to watch. I've got to catch the whole thing early enough before it turns into a catastrophe. So watching is certainly part of it, but there's more to switching gears. I've got to catch them by the collar before they gain momentum if they happen to see the squirrels. If I'm holding them by the end of the leash, I won't be able to stop them because they'll have gained the momentum equivalent to the length of the leash. And I won't be able to stop them. It'll be like trying to stop a couple of racehorses once they see that squirrel. So I've got to hold them by the collar, kind of curtailing the thought before it gains momentum. And then I've got to redirect, refocus. And Tony Robbins, too, speaks about the power of focus. It's all where we put our focus. Now I've got to walk them across the street, got them by the collars. Come on, let's go see what's over there. Let's go smell that grass. And oh yeah, that's nice smelling grass. Now they're on to something different. So that's a matter of redirecting the mind, or as Esther puts it, and I love the way she phrases these things, reach for the better feeling thought. And it doesn't have to be a big efforting. It doesn't have to be a big struggle. Start little, start subtle, or as she puts it, start general. It's all around what we can reach for. That you woke up this morning, that you're able to walk, that the sun came up, that the wind is beautiful blowing through the leaves, that the flowers are in bloom right now, that the moon is full. There's so much to start redirecting our thoughts away from the thing that's spinning and bringing us anxiety and toward something that feels better. My God, those flowers really are beautiful. The canopy of leaves above me really is spectacular. Start general, start easy. It doesn't have to be a big struggle. And before we know it, we've started rewiring the way our mind works into a better feeling pattern, a pattern that serves us, a better kind of habit. The klesha starts to redirect itself. So we're in the habit of finding pretty things and things that feel good. It's just generating a new kind of habit, and we realize one day, wow, I've been feeling really good. I haven't really been spinning those negative thoughts the way I used to. I've kind of turned it around, and it happened so easily. I scarcely remember when it turned itself around because it was in steps and measures. It was gradual, and it was so easy and so subtle. And it wasn't a big kind of struggle and fight or efforting that I hardly remember when it happened. It was just, kind of pulling the train over and so gently because I didn't let it get momentum. And so in that way, by curtailing it and redirecting it, I've directed my focus anew, deliberately put my happiness first rather than waiting for conditions to determine my happiness. I've put my happiness first. You might say that waiting for conditions to turn themselves around, that's a bit like putting the cart before the horse. I've put my happiness first by paying attention to how I feel when I look at certain things and how thoughts make me feel. And in that way, I've begun to become very conscious about my experience, because that's all I have in this moment anyway, is my experience. And I've become very aware of how my thoughts generate my experience in this moment. And I've deliberately chosen the ones that feel good. Sat Nam.